third tab with the Twitch? I mean, I sent you the link.
Why is it streaming? Okay. Okay, well, I'm going to... I don't know where the VOD ended up. I guess I X'd out of it by mistake. So, oh wait, is another... No, it's not. Okay. I'm just going to grab the link again, and we'll get that back on screen.
Got it. Good work, though.
And we'll figure out in just a second where exactly we were. I think I found the spot, but I'm going to get this back online here. So now we should see that, which we do. And then we'll project this and stream that to you. All right. So, sorry about that, folks. So the VODs of those two streams have been removed just for safety purposes. So those will not be available anymore. And I do apologize to Chocomoco because that means that you also won't be able to go back and see what we talked about earlier. But
been taking notes. So.
Okay, yeah. Should be fine, I think. I think that covers us up to the point where we can get started again. So, that was an annoying string of technical difficulties. So apologies for that, folks. But we're back and we're ready to get started. So I think this is the part where, yeah, you reef slider in and then, okay. So we're right back to the correct play.
Okay, go ahead.
Nice.
Okay, good lead. Okay, now regroup.
Okay, and that's going to keep doing that. So we jump in. This is a safer jump because we know that the enemy team is somewhat attending to the Rainmaker here. And we know that they're not all back in full force. We know that our teammates have backed up a little bit. So this is a better jump.
Sorry, they have Booyah already.
This again, I think... So we get this... Actually, we don't get this player. So... Someone gets marked up there, and it feels like we're paying attention to the Rainmaker the whole time and not to this player right here. As a general rule, you want to focus on what's the most immediate threat to you in your position. So... While, yes, the Rainmaker is threatening to push left right now, that's not going to happen for another few seconds. And this player right here is, like, less than a second away from you. So it feels like we're looking at mid, but then we pop up over the side and we're like, oh, yeah, there's a player here. And then we start to turn our aim towards them. We want to have our aim set on them as soon as we get up over the top. Like, if you have to sit on the wall for an extra half second just to, like, get your reticle lined up and then pop over the top so that your reticle is where it needs to be, then do that. But we're kind of, like, rushing into everything because we're not making a decision about what one thing we're going to focus on doing right this second. So it's, again, that, like, one thing at a time sort of idea here. And it kind of goes to the same thought process as what I was talking about in my video today, which is, like, one fight at a time, one thing at a time. Focus on doing this one thing and put all of your resources into doing that one thing right so that you actually accomplish that one thing and then you're able to move on to the next thing.
Darn.
Okay, got Hydra.
Yeah. Jump under our plat. Got it. Good wipe out.
Okay, so
got
team
Hydra.
comes up clutch, just gets
Jump under
3
our plat.
pretty cleanly.
Got it.
You trade the last one back. Really well played. You didn't really have to be a part of that. And at this point, and again, like, this is a great example of the, like, indecisive
Hydra.
part here,
Yeah.
where we're just, like,
Jump under
doing
our plat.
things while we
Got
think.
it. Good wipe out.
We get the Rainmaker pop, right? And then after getting the Rainmaker pop, and this entire area is blue, we stop, we stand up, we fire a couple of shots, and then we go back down into the ink. Like, little redundant things like that are what I'm talking about when I talk about the indecision. And we're still doing it. We still, those shots again are not painting anything.
For sure.
So we want to have a plan, and we want to go for executing that plan. If you've got teammates in front of you here, it looks like they're expecting you to pick the Rainmaker up. So right now we want to pick the Rainmaker up because your backliner is down and the other 2 players are forward. So if it's not you, it's not going to be anybody. But this is definitely a thing that you want to talk about with the team because I don't think you're the one who should be picking up the Rainmaker here. I don't know. Maybe if we're considering the Dapples like a support weapon here, but you're playing it like it's a Slayer.
Yeah.
So in that case, it should probably be the Junior who's picking it up here instead.
They pick it up
scary.
or...
I guess we can just leave it. We can just defend.
Okay. I mean, I'm even on comms being like,
Just
do we
me.
want to pick this up? Which is
Failing
definitely
the Hydra.
not.
Fight right side.
Yeah, at that point in time, like, if you have to ask for permission, it's probably already taken too long.
Yeah.
Right side. Got him. Hydra left. Fight truck. Fight Hydra.
Yeah. Panic reef
Just me.
slider. The good
Mhm.
old.
Wailing the Hydra. Fight right side. Right side. Got him.
The thing to think about with Reef Slider is that you're not going to be able to use its iframes if you're having to use them quickly. Reef Slider is something you really have to set up carefully. It's like an inkjet more than it is a splashdown. Really, a splashdown is also something you actually had to set up, but it's closer to like a panic special. Baller would be a better idea. A baller you can just pop whenever you're getting aggressed on. A booyah you can just pop whenever you're being aggressed on. And you probably get out of that. You ideally want to set those up, but it's not something it is something you can use as a panic option if you need to. But this thing, you're gonna get splatted during the startup frames. If you were going to get splatted while you were standing and shooting at them, you're gonna get splatted during the startup frames here. So just use the main weapon and go for a trade here if you're thinking you're gonna lose this.
Hydra left. Fight
Yeah.
truck. Fight
I have
Hydra.
no idea where I picked up this habit because like I've
Come on.
never
Hydra
used a
down.
weapon with a
Trade with
save
the
myself
Go up.
special.
They have they have Zuka ready.
It's easy to think, oh, this has invulnerability frames. I will use the invulnerability frames to defend myself. But, you know.
I was doing it before it had the invulnerability frame, so I think it's just a bad habit. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay. So we're able to stop them there,
Hydra.
and
Hydra down.
it's really like...
trade with
Just
Julie.
Cargo up. They have
Does
they have
Haribo
Zuka
stop
ready.
it? I think it's Haribo who stops
No,
it.
nice.
Oh, they don't
Just
even pick it up in
grab
time.
it quite enough. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So we're gonna go here. We're gonna go here. We're gonna go here. Okay. So let's talk about. Actually, you know what? I've got an idea. Let's talk about this on SetiDank/plans. That'd be a good resource to use for this. You can see what I've been doing here. That's not it. That is not what it's supposed to be showing. Sorry, give me just a second. I'm going to do this. Go here. Reset this. And we want this on this. Okay. So you're seeing this now too?
Yes.
All right. So you can see this is from the video earlier. And we'll scooch it up so it's just a little bigger and easier for us to read. But so one of the nice things about send-it/plans is that you can pull and drag around these images of the weapons. So we're going to go to Mincemeat Rainmaker. And we have... Where are the dualies? There are the dualies. Dualies. Then we have C Junior 52. And then we have Leader. So we'll just work with these for now. Get these here. And then we can zoom in a little bit so we can see more of the map. All right. So we want the charger to be probably here in neutral. That's just generally the one place that the charger is going to stand, and they're going to rotate back and forth across plat however it is convenient for them, however it is safe for them to do. So then the next question is, who's going to go where? We could put the 52 in a couple of different places. We could have them maybe down in the middle because they have the wall, and they're going to be able to use the wall to keep themselves safe while they aggress on this. We could put them around the side here so that they can back up if they need to and keep the wall on the most likely Rainmaker path and use their range against someone who tries to push them over the flank. So over this area. We could...
We're just talking about like in the beginning of the
in the
game.
neutral game,
Neutral, in the neutral, okay.
We could put the 52 up here if we're going to try and push across mid because the bridge is wide open, and so putting a wall across it is going to be a really like safe way to get across if that's something that you really need to do. So those are some ideas for the 52. The Dapples, I imagine with double torpedo, the Dapples and the Junior are going to want to be just as annoying as possible. Just like you're there to throw a whole bunch of torpedoes at them and make it so that they're forced to move somewhere, and then you're in a position where you can collapse on them when they make a mistake because they're trying to avoid the torpedoes. So you could be in like a really safe position to do this from. Like you could put one of you guys down here and throw them up over the truck if you're trying to push over the right-hand side and just have them completely behind cover if you wanted. You could put both of them over here and then have like one torpedo aggressing this side and then one torpedo going into mid and then have the 52 push up with that. So those are some ideas. Once you, as the Dapples, want to go in, you're looking for positions where you have a lot of cover so that you can pop out from behind the cover and immediately be on top of someone instead of having to close distance across open ground. Like if you're on the enemy team and you're trying to push against an E-leader here, any time that you spend in this area right here is a total liability because there's no cover whatsoever that is going to protect you from the E-leader sniping you. So open ground is your enemy. You want to be behind cover. So a lot of the time that means you're dropping over the right-hand side. So if your plan is to drop over the right-hand side, what you want your team to know about that is, I want you, the 52, pushing up through mid, and I want torpedoes to be targeting this area of the map so that when you drop down, you're not just in a 1v3, you're actually flanking with your team there to pinch in around them. So if that's the game plan, then that's something that you want your team to know is going to happen. Something that FLC talks about a lot with game plans is that you need to have a game plan that is not fragile, is a way that I would put it. A game plan that isn't going to break if like one player goes down. So like, let's say, you know, if this whole plan hinges on you going over the right-hand side and flanking, but you get splatted, is the team just going to fall apart because of that game plan here? I would say no, because you can still have the torpedo spam, you can still have the 52 walling off and then backing up or moving forward as needed, and the E-leader is a very independent weapon. It just means that you're not going to be able to make this flank over the right-hand side. And if the flank over the right-hand side is like really important to be able to do, maybe you would have someone rotate over to do it, but I don't think that's really necessary from here. I think you just wait for the Dapples to come back in and be able to make that flank again. So that right there is kind of a kind of game plan that you can come up with for the opening rollout. Obviously, you're going to want to probably go for pop initially in most situations, whenever you can get it. If you can see that the enemy team is very likely to get the pop, then yeah, you don't have to contest it. And also, this is the single map where the pop matters the least, because it just doesn't paint anything. I have a video on that. So you can let the other team get pop if you really want to, and you just want to get into this position here. In fact, if you get into this position here while they're popping the Rainmaker, then that might give you the opportunity to flank them before they're ready to, after they're, done shooting at the Rainmaker shield. So maybe that's an idea. But then once you gain an advantage, you could be in any kind of combination of places, but you're likely to be somewhere like here. Then the idea here is one of these two players should be grabbing the Rainmaker. Because these are the two weapons on your team comp that are going to be able to push up the best. And so you want these two to be free to do what they're going to do. You're probably going to go over here. 52 is going to go here. And then we want either Junior pushing up with the 52, or we want the Junior grabbing Rainmaker and the E-Leader staying up on this position to cover the plat here. Either one of those are pretty good options, I would say. The Junior can throw torpedoes up here to help you in this fight, and if someone drops down, the Junior's going to be better at fighting that than the E-Leader is. But if the Junior grabs, the E-Leader can just lock down this whole area here because they're on one of the most powerful sniping positions in the game, and so they're going to be able to take that position and help you move forward. And another important test, like we talked about before, is, okay, what happens if someone gets splatted in this? Well, who's most likely to be splatted? You're most likely to be splatted out of this. 52 is more likely to be splatted out of this. Junior is a little bit more likely to be safe, but they might get splatted. And E-Leader is probably going to be safe. So if, the Junior gets splatted, for instance, then it's E-Leader's turn to pick up, and you guys are going to frontline. If you get splatted, and you still have a push, then the E-Leader should probably definitely pick up so that you have two frontliners in front of you, and it's not just the 52. And, these decisions, you can probably come up with all of these decisions on your own if you just, look at the map. The thing is, coming up with these decisions on your own when you have, half a second to decide what you're going to do next in the middle of a game while the adrenaline is already pumping and you're trying to focus on controlling your character, that's really hard. So talking through all of this stuff with your team before the match starts, or even before the tournament even starts, that's probably going to be the best idea for you. So,
Okay.
And then we'll go through defense just so that we've got all of those bases covered. But on defense, again, you're probably going to have E-Leader either here, or if they've taken your plat, then the E-Leader probably doesn't want to drop down and they're going to take someplace else. I'm not exactly sure where they'd stand, but it'd probably be somewhere around here. So I'm just going to put them there. Then as you roll out, first priority is going to be making sure that this area is covered and that there's nobody around here, because that's just an immediate threat to anybody dropping down. Once that's out of the way, then what we probably need to do, because in all likelihood they're going to take the Rainmaker in this direction, what you're going to want to do is get somebody here, and put a lot of pressure on this area down below from multiple angles. Once you do get control of your plat here, a really good idea is also to maybe send someone down in this direction if the left corner is covered well, because then you can come in from behind them while someone else comes in from in front, and that's a really powerful flank. And if a team is moving this way, they're probably going to dedicate someone to watching it, but it's going to be annoying for that player to have to watch it while the rest of the team is watching in this direction. That's going to split their forces up, and as long as you take this flank from the right patiently enough and you're not just diving them as soon as you get the opportunity and letting them collapse on you, then what you're going to do is you're going to give your team time to push in and apply this pressure so that when you push in, you're likely to get someone. What can go wrong here is you drop down here and like your line of sight to your teammates is blocked by these walls here. So you're not going to have a very easy time just spotting where they're at if you're not like using your map or anything as you move in here. So what you want to be doing is as you're about in this position, you're calling, all right, start pushing. You know, I'm flanking, push in, or something like that. Something quick that you've established with your team is like the go time signal. And then these players start putting on more pressure than they were before, and that forces the enemy team to focus away from you, and then you get your flank. So that's the general defensive play. Obviously, you know, if they're further up, then we have different ideas, and it depends on who's up and who's able to do what. Like, if the Rainmaker has already made it to this position here, well, now we've got to deal with where the enemy positions are. So if someone's here and someone's here, then maybe we collapse on the one who's nearest so that we can try and get them out of the way and get in between the Rainmaker and the goal as quickly as possible. And then it's somebody else's job to deal with this player. Maybe that's kind of the plan. But all of that should be something that you and your team sort of understand is the plan before any match that you know the map mode for. And that's something that as time goes on, because it's 14 times 4 modes, right? Unless you're going to be playing Turf War competitively. So while that is kind of a lot just to like have in your head all at once, like 52 different map modes and offense, defense, neutral for all 3 of them, eventually, if you've played for a team long enough, you just start to remember what you've done on those map modes before, and you're able to get back into that. Like, that is something that it's not going to happen on day one, but it is going to happen over maybe the first month or so that you really start to lock in and get the idea of what you're doing on pretty much every map mode. And you'll be able to remember what worked and what didn't. Devi was really good at this on the Grillers because she's got a photographic memory, so she'll just be like, hey, so in that we played them game 3 of that scrim that we played a month ago, and on the third push, the one where they took lead, here's what happened, and that didn't work, so we want to put someone else over here. And I'm just like, I'll take your word for it.
Wow, that's wild.
But with any kind of game plan like this, it helps to maybe have it written down somewhere in your team's Discord server, to have plans drawn up so that you can go back to refer to them afterwards if you forget what the plan was on the day of. So those are all some ideas to bring back to your team and try to plan out. Because I think having that kind of a plan, even if it's bad at first, even if your plan doesn't work, it'll make you more decisive, and it'll make you commit to those plans and make those plans more likely to work. And if they don't work, then you can go back to the drawing board with a VOD review afterwards and be like, okay, did this not work because I executed it poorly, or did this not work because I ended up in a 1v3 because of the plan? And if it's like, okay, I need to just swim a little bit closer to them before I'm dodge rolling in to go for the attack, then that's one thing. If it's, okay, I'm just ending up in a 1v3 because you guys aren't getting there fast enough, like we need to either move faster or pick a different plan, then that's a different conversation. But hopefully that gives you more of a sense of how to bring this back to the team and get something more impactful out of it.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful. And also this looks like a really good tool because I know that we have like tried to do planning sessions and we just like dump ourselves in the what's it called, like recon mode. And we're like, I don't know, I normally kind of stand over here and do this thing. So yeah, I think that using this will be very helpful.
And that is a really valuable conversation to have. That's the way that we did it before we had this feature, right? And it just means that
it down.
Yeah, you've got to have some kind of memory of it, and
because I'm not going to remember it if we like the way we were doing.
One other thing that you could do is like screenshot the overhead of the map from the replay code menu, and then you can just like have that up on your screen and doodle over it with like drawing tools. That's something that people have done before. Because, like, they have to make the call-out maps somehow, right? So the way they do that is by taking the overhead from the spectator can and screenshotting that. So, for example, like, I personally don't like this kind of map as much as I like the overheads. Like, on the Splatoon 3 callouts, which you can pull up here, like, I made them specifically to have the actual image of the map. And so if you want this kind of a thing, then you can always just, like, go into a replay code. And what all this is you can see the spawn markers here. This is right before the match starts, between when it says ready and when it says go. And I just screenshotted this, and that was something that you could, like, create for yourself and download. So that's another option.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good.
Awesome. All right. So we wanted to talk about dapples versus tetras, because I think we've talked about decision making, and I think we've talked about coordination with the team. Having a plan like that is going to streamline your decision making a lot. I guess we haven't talked about comms as much. With comms, and I made a video today that I think you and your team should probably go and watch.
Yeah, I watched it.
Okay, yeah. So the idea is you want to take one fight at a time, right? Well, comms are where you decide what that one fight is. Comms are where whoever is engaging in a fight tells everybody which fight it is they're taking and where, and that way everybody dives on that one fight, and we win that fight. When you listen to top-level comms, it's, like, very, very simplistic. It's literally just, like, one location called over and over again, or one weapon called over and over again. H3, 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 behind. Like, you'll hear that kind of, like, craziness on the comms. They're just yelling that one thing, because everybody knows where that one player is because they have really good awareness. And everybody knows roughly where each other are because they're keeping close to each other and keeping it off angles so that they can take fights effectively. So as soon as they know which direction to turn and which player we're targeting, everybody knows what to do. Everybody knows, okay, if this player is shooting at me, I disengage so that my teammate can splat them. And if they're not shooting at me, then I engage on them so that I can splat them, and we get them down as quickly as we possibly can so that my teammate who's skirmishing doesn't get traded for. Like, all of that stuff, they don't need to talk about. So what they talk about is, where is the fight? Where do I need to be looking? As soon as they're looking at it, all of the other, solo queue decision making and everything, and their experience with the game comes into play. They don't need to talk about that. They don't need to talk about, like, I'm going to drop down into squid form and main strafe to the right. It's just, where's the fight? I'm there. Let's go. Some other things that are really useful to talk about on comms that I'm not hearing a lot are how many players are down, especially when you're at a disadvantage. So, like, in 2v4 situations, be like, it's 2v4, back up. Or, we're 2 down, back up. That sort of thing will keep you from staggering. Another thing would be, like, if you're 2 down and you're one of the players who's still alive, to talk about whether you're a safe jump or not.
Yeah.
So those are some things to add to it. I think I have a video on, like, some basic callout templates that would be good to include, but the things I would stress with your particular case would be every time that there is a fight, that needs to be called, because that way people know not to take a second one. They know to focus on the one that's been called. Every time you need help from a teammate, I need a help and then insert location here. So help left or help right, or an on my ouch or something. Every result of a fight should be called. So if you get someone, it's like got 1, got 2, I want to hear that so that I know that the numbers advantage is changing. And if someone's down, I want to hear that they're down. And if that player who got them is still at large, I want to hear where they are. If that player who got them traded with them, then I want to hear traded. All of that is going to help your team keep up with numbers advantage faster than they would if they're just looking at the heads-up display a lot of the time. Now, if the entire team is looking at the same fight and you go down and it's obvious where that player is, maybe you don't need to say anything. But if it seems like they don't know where that player is, or if they're looking for that player and not finding them, that's when you call out, "I'm down. Here's where they are."
For sure.
So there are like those three things mainly. Which fight are we taking? How did the fight result? And what are we doing next? Or like things like, we need to back up, or it's time to push. Those three things are things that I want to be hearing on comms very, very consistently from everybody. There are some drills that you can do to help with that. Like one drill is to make it so that only one person is allowed to say things, so they're forced to say everything. So they're
We were
forced to
planning
even
on
call
trying that
like
one.
Choco's down, dies down, instead of that person calling it themselves. But I find that in a lot of those drills, what tends to happen is that players who aren't used to callouts just like don't call out the things they're supposed to be calling out. And so there needs to be some kind of accountability where you look back on the VOD review and you're like, hey, here, this is where you should be calling this. Here, this is where you should be calling this. And you're not saying it in those spots. So maybe when you're doing that drill, record it so you can go back afterwards and show them the things that they're missing, that they're not saying, that you want them to be saying.
For sure. Quick question about like the comms and kind of also a little bit of a transition to like the Tetras versus Tetra Dualies, which is like sometimes I know that I'm like kind of like the reef slider play that like distracted the enemy enough for us to like get the lead there. Like sometimes I don't necessarily want my teammates necessarily like following me in for that fight,
Right.
but I realize I'm still supposed to be taking it, or like calling it, I mean. So yeah, sometimes I don't know what to do about that, because sometimes I definitely, especially at something like Tetras, right, I would be going into fights where like I'm not gonna win, like yeah.
So you'll actually hear, and this is an older roster of Sayonara, but I remember when Sayonara was playing that Zero with Zero specifically, that Zero plays like a Tetris even though he's playing on a splatter shot. He does the same kinds of things position wise, and if you listen to their comms, you'll actually hear Zero saying, "I'm going in. I'm gonna die. Don't follow me. Don't save me." Those kinds of call outs will tell the team that, okay, don't fight with me. Play off of the distraction to win something else. So maybe like you could say I'm skirmishing. That's a lot of syllables, but that might help. You could say something like, "Don't follow me. Don't save me." You could just call what you want them to do instead. That's also really powerful. Like, I'm sliding in, push right. Like I'm sliding in, protect Rainmaker, or something like that. And that will communicate that like you don't intend to receive help here, that you're instead distracting. There are some times where even though you don't expect to win the fight, though, that you do want your teammates to follow up on it anyway. Like a lot of the time you'll get into situations where like you've got two opponents. Why does it put them on the outer edge of the screen? That's annoying. You've got like two opponents here that you're going to dive with the Tetras. With the expectation that your junior and I think we got rid of the 52, so let me grab that again. Okay, now we've got everybody.
The UX.
So let's say your junior and your 52 are back here, but you're going in and engaging on these Tetras. Well, when you engage, the Tetras are going to move in a certain way and they're going to reveal themselves. And even if the 52 only gets here once you're splatted, by the time they get here, they know where both of the T-Techs are. At least a couple of them are probably damaged, and this is a fight that you could potentially win. And so that's the sort of situation where even if you're just going in to soften them up so your teammates can follow up and win it with you, that might be a play that you call, like, I'm pushing right, push with me. Or, like, push right with me, or watch right.
Okay. I know we're a little low on time. I do want to ask a little bit about comp, if
Absolutely.
that's okay. Um, so I really like dualies. I plan to stay on dualies. I like kind of the divey, maybe like, um, roll around, bother people. I like being annoying, right? I think that's fun. Um, and then I think our E-leader player is mostly always playing E-leader, maybe Splat Charger, maybe Explo on like really, like Flounder where people don't really like playing the Chargers. Um, but then I guess the other two weapons we're kind of having a hard time like deciding what to do. Like our custom junior player also plays like Pro, I think Forge. Um, but also she also plays very aggressively. So we're kind of not sure, like, and also we have weird special distribution because like so many things that we like have like wave breaker on them. Um,
So the
yeah.
the problem is that it was run through the weapon pool again because there are some things I'm forgetting there.
Yeah, so basically it's like one dually player, one backline player, and then kind of we're not sure about the other two players, kind of. Or like...
Okay, so like are the other two players like trying midline stuff because we had um, someone on C Junior and someone on 52. What other weapons do they run?
There's a little bit. There was machine. We're not sure how that's gonna go considering the patch. There's like T-Tech. There's Splat. I'm talking about one player die. There's Splash as well. Um,
Splash works well with Tetris.
yeah.
I mean, Splash works well with everything. Splash works well with itself.
Yeah. Um, then yeah, the other one, we're not like. Do you really like with this kind of comp? Do you really want like a support,
Yes.
like a support weapon? Yeah.
So,
Okay.
a way that this kind of comp often runs is something like a Junior and something like a Flingza being behind the Tetras and their other frontline flanker. Um,
Oh, really?
because
Okay.
what'll happen is the Tetras will go in and basically like not paint anything but the enemy side, but they'll create enough space that the Junior or whatever spray shooter you're trying to run, like if you're gonna run an arrow spray, I feel like you probably want to run it with Tetras, because, and that's not a recommendation of arrow spray, but like if you were going to make that mistake with your life, then go ahead. No, the idea with the spray shooter is that it follows in behind the Tetras because the Tetras are drawing so much attention and drawing so much aggro and like making so much space behind them safe just through passive control. Just there are no enemies there because they are busy dealing with the Tetras behind them. That the spray shooter can just get free reign to fill all of that spot in with paint. And the flings that can kind of do the same sort of thing where they're playing this sort of anchor role for when the Tetras die because they're gonna. And then you have someone to jump back into, and you've secured a whole lot of paint, even though you've gone in and died. So you're kind of like, it's a ratchet system. You are the part that forces it forward, and then they are the little like lever that snaps in behind you as you go in, so that you continue to keep that space even after the Tetra has been removed from it.
Interesting. Okay. So you'd say Flingza even with the E-leader as well?
I'm not sure about with the E-leader.
Okay. Yeah. That's
That
okay.
like I would say if you're gonna put an E-leader in, you replace the Flingza with it because that's the Flingza is acting as an anchor there.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, just wanted to.
But
check.
like definitely in that case, like C Junior is a great thing to run with it for the extra paint and for the extra information. Because the Tetras also really need to have good information before they dive in. They only have so much time to collect information, and so anything that can be like a cheat code to get them that, like the auto bomb is really great for it for this reason, or having the torpedo there to declare an enemy position. Having missiles on someone is really good because then you can see the missiles outline, and that's why it works so well with Flingza. Any of that sort of stuff is really nice. What I'm also seeing people tend to pair with Tetras, if they're not going to run a splash, is actually splat dualies. Because if you want someone to dive in with the Tetras, you want someone who's able to dodge roll through enemy ink the way that the Tetras are, so that they can be in the same places that the Tetras get into. So it can be a sort of like a little bit more supportive diving buddy than like the Tetras are going to be. Like, you don't want to run two Tetras, two players that are being that aggressive. But if you need someone to get in there and help the Tetras, that's one of the weapons that's going to have the best chance of doing it, because again, it can get there. So that's another idea that I've seen work to some success. If you want, you could maybe replace the Junior with an end zap. You'll get a little bit less paint, but you'll also get Tacticooler out of that. And that will help you with your turbo feeding. So that might be like a Rainmaker idea.
Yeah.
But another idea might be, if you want to play a little bit more of like a kiting poking comp, then you could maybe try running the Tetras with like dually squelchers, so that there's one that's skirmishing and then one that's swaying. That might be a little much. I'm trying to think what else, because I'm trying to give you some like midline options.
Yeah.
That would function well with this, because it sounds like you have like a midline weapon. 52 isn't terrible with it. 52 is a little bit more deliberate in the way it pushes up, but it is going to be very aggressive, and so it's going to possibly be able to be there to help you. Splatter shot, splash would all be good weapons for it.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's helpful. I guess like I was just wondering if there was like specific stuff because of the fact we have like the kind of dive but also the anchor, like the leader, which is often kind of far back.
Another thing that I would recommend doing is find like Tetris players and see how people build comps around them. So like looking on like Isabel and see like, okay, what is her team running in tournaments? Anytime you see a Tetras at a very high level, just be like, okay, what are they playing with the Tetras and why are they doing it that way?
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
But
and as far as
a lot of them are
Tetras
probably
versus-
just playing Splash right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. And then Tetras versus Dapples, that's just kind of an adjustment period, is right.
Ray's saying Splash, Junior, either or, Shot, Stamper, and Machine are all solid picks. I could see Machine and Stamper working, because like those are weapons that do damage from a little further away, so they don't have to dive with you. They can just like chuck a Fizzy Bomb in that direction, and that's still helping.
Yeah. For sure. Okay. Yeah, that's helpful. Cool, yeah. Oh, I guess, like, what, is it okay to keep asking a couple more questions?
Yeah, go for it. Like again, we started, like, 10, 15 minutes late, and we also had the technical difficulties in the middle, so we got some time.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I guess one of the things that also I'm having trouble with is, like, keeping track of, like, of the E-leader, of Haribo. Like, do you have any suggestions for, like, keeping track of players that are, like, behind you? Because they don't look like
I would say that it's not your job, frankly, because...
Oh, okay.
You want to be, like, checking your map and stuff, but they're going to be in, like, one of a couple places anyway, and they should be positioning off of where they see you going, and where you have a good fight, more than anything. What situation here is it that, like, you feel like you needed to be able to know where they where you didn't?
I guess sometimes I think, like, oh, I'd like to know, like, what space they're controlling right now, so that,
Gotcha.
like, I can maybe take fights, like...
You could maybe, like look
push
for the laser, but...
okay.
A lot of the time, they're going to be able to see a lot of different things, and they're going to shoot at what they think they have the best shot at.
Okay.
When I have a charger on my team, I usually, and maybe I should be a little better about this, but I usually don't worry too much about what they're looking at. I just kind of, like, go and play my game and, like, let them see, you know, if I think that there is a good position that Gem is creating for me, then I will definitely just go and aim at that. But if I catch a stray pick from somewhere else on the left, like, I'm totally cool with my charger looking at that. I'm not expecting them to have very long threat in the area that I'm looking. Because, like, a charger fires one shot, and then that's it, and you don't have a teammate anymore for the next few seconds. So, like, what if they miss, right? If they miss, they're not controlling that area anymore. So,
For sure. Yeah.
if I have a Hydra, then maybe I can be like, okay, like, where are you going to roll out? I want to roll out in front of you. And that's about the most that I'll think about it. Like, on Sturgeon, for example, I would go left sometimes, even though that's disadvantageous to a short-range shooter, because I would have Devi on the grates behind me. And so I'd bait someone into being like, oh, hey, this player is vulnerable, and then Devi would just show up and shred them. So that's a sort of, like, set play that you can set up on rollouts sometimes. But most of the time, it's just like, if the Hydra wants you to play more aggressively, they can tell you, like, push up, I've got you. And otherwise, you just play as if they're not there, and every now and then, you just get a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, it's always fun when I hear the, like, pow, and then it's like, then you see the little X, I'm like, oh, good shot. Yeah, then I guess when I am, like, the bad habit I had of, like, popping up and just randomly shooting and then going back down and being indecisive, like, instead of that, the action would be just, like, going, like, staying in the ink, moving the camera around, checking map, basically. That's the replacement behavior, kind of.
Yeah, so I'm walking down here. I'm walking down here and I'm seeing these two dummies in front of me. It's not a, like, this sort of deal. It's a see where they're going and then go in.
Okay.
And, like, that's gonna, you know, you're not gonna give them any warning, and you're going to have a much higher likelihood of success as long as you just mechanically execute from here. And get used to making ambush plays like that, instead of just trying to be like a paint support, which you're not. And you'll get more paint control by just removing them swiftly from play than you will by just stalling indefinitely. You got to look for a good opportunity, obviously. You don't just want to, like, walk forward at them in their line of sight doing this. But once you get, you know, mechanically adept enough, and you have a plan for how you're going to get around them, you'll be able to put yourself in positions where you should have those kinds of advantages, where it really is just that easy.
For sure, yeah. Which, again, I feel like I kind of, like, can feel those positions a little more on Dapples. Like, I feel like I have those types of plans a little more on Dapples than I do with Tetras, but again, that's just kind of adjustment, period. Oh, I wish the Dapples were better.
The trick with Tetras is that sometimes you want to play your range and sometimes you don't. With Dapples, your range is I am punching them, and so the closer to them you can get, the better. But with Tetras, for example, against a splatter shot, you don't want to be getting closer to them than this. You actually want to be keeping them at this distance, so that they, like, because they're going to have to run at you. And so what you're doing back here is you're, like, backing up and being like, oh, don't run into me, don't run into me. The challenge of the Tetras is that your kill time is actually slower than a lot of top-tier slaying weapons. Like, this 4-shot has, I believe, a slower fire rate than the splatter shot. If not, it's close. Let me see what it is. So it was like da-da-da-da.
Yeah, I think it's slower.
Okay, so your fire rate is a little bit faster, but not by enough to counter the fact that the splatter shot has a 3-shot kill. Like, as a splatter shot, if a Tetris lets me get in range, I will literally walk and shoot them. Because my win condition is just getting shots before they get shots. So I'm not even worried about, like, disengaging too much a lot of the time. Sometimes I'll just, like, get my aim on and make sure I'm hitting my shots and not worry about being damaged. I won't disengage when they start hitting shots because I'll know that I splat faster. So your job as the Tetris in that kind of a matchup is I need to actually keep my distance a little bit. and like move around at the outskirts of where they can hit me so that I'm getting to use the advantage of my weapon and not getting closed in on and just losing because I didn't have a weapon that I can press ZR with and win automatically. Now, there are some weapons that you just want to get on top of. Like, if this is a Hydra here, like, I want to just, like, get behind them, throw their aim off, be as confusing as possible, and I'm going to try and camera fight that sometimes. Like, do you know what? Camera fighting is where you're taking advantage of the fact that they go from being able to see you to not being able to see you when you move that far.
Right.
So if someone's behind you, that is a really powerful thing to do, because for you, that was, I'm going to aim in exactly the same direction. For them, that was, oh crap, I need to move this way now. And that's a lot harder for them to do, and you can kind of lose them that way. So you can maybe do stuff like this, or, you know, go kind of sideways back and forth behind them as they're trying to figure out what's going on. With Dapples, it's just like, I'm on them, and I'm doing my DPS as fast as possible because I have some of the fastest DPS in the game. Like, the only weapons that you might not want to challenge are like a Nautilus or a Hydra. Everything else, you're gonna splat faster.
Yeah. I guess, like, because in some ways I'd prefer to keep playing Dapples, but, like, how quick do you think that you kind of run into the wall of, like, oh, these are, like, how do you know when you run into the wall of, like, the weapon is kind of holding you back?
You're probably not at that wall yet. It will come at a
definitely
certain...
not.
It will come at a level of mechanical skill.
I see. Okay.
And at that point, it'll just feel like, oh wow, this used to work, and now it doesn't. But...
Yeah. You're talking about the enemy's mechanical skill.
Right.
Yes, okay.
Like, I used to be able to do this to people, but now I'm just getting shut down for it immediately.
Right.
One thing that's really important for countering Dapples is defensive painting. If your opponents are not paying as much attention to what's around them, if they're not painting the important corners, you're going to catch them out a lot more often. But the more safely they paint, the fewer options you're going to have to find good fights. Like, when you dropped down over the right-hand side a couple of times there, stronger mechanical players who are more aware just back away, and now you're stuck in enemy ink with nowhere to go. And a lot of those fights, like, on paper, you should just lose for having tried to take them. That's a situation the Tetras don't worry about as much because they've got the extra range to move in with, and they also have 4 dodge rolls so they can get into range more effectively. But the Dapples just kind of hit a wall where if you disengage from them, there's nothing they can do. And they don't have any, like, poking option that's going to go out fast enough to really force anyone to move away. If you throw a torpedo at them, cool, they're still going to back up, and they're going to shoot at the torpedo instead of you while they're backing up, but they're going to back up.
I see. Cool. Yeah, I think... Whoops. I had a lot of the questions. I asked most of the questions. Really helpful feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Devi, hop
Sorry
in.
if I was a curse on your
worries.
stream.
No. It was not you at all.
I'm cursed.
Devi, hop in VC if you can, real quick. I just want to confirm if you have your lesson still. If not, I will probably take a quick break to grab a little bit of food. I was expecting to... Shoot. I was expecting to have a meal that I could just, like, make right now, and I don't think the box has gotten here yet. But, if you still have a lesson that you said you were going to teach, then I want to make sure that we're making that time for you. Because we've already gone over a little bit.
I'm messaging Fia as we speak.
Okay. Sounds good.
But yeah, no, I definitely got one, and good. So Fia's getting about 10 minutes. So.
10 minutes? Okay. So in that case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a match of Tetras, and I'm going to kind of commentate for my decision-making here. And maybe that'll help out a little bit. And open is Rainmaker at the moment, so we'll run it there. It's not stale. I think they come in like refrigerated boxes. I'm not sure because I've never actually had one of the boxes. But if it's not refrigerated automatically, it is refrigerated because it's Minnesota and it is cold.
Tetra's also confused me a little bit about like when you're going for the kill versus when you're only.
And this is actually, yeah, package it with frozen bags of goop. Yeah, I thought so. And X-Ray is actually a Tetra's main. So if you have any questions about decision making, he would be a great person not only to watch on stream, but just to ask in chat right now. And I will probably also have some questions for him. So unfortunately, they gave us a second ambush weapon in the carbon. So I guess I'm going to be trying to set up fights for the carbon here a little bit. I can't really engage super hard on the wall. Back up a little bit, but I can go in on this. Yeah, we got him. Several in here, and I get one, and can I stop the other one? Nope. Shoot. Didn't quite have the angle. Ah, wow, they just ran straight back to kill me. They just completely gave up on pushing the Rainmaker any further. I guess that's smart. I'll throw that there, see what they do in response. I was worried that if I threw it at them and then just dove down on them right away, that they were already going to be aiming at me because they saw where it came from. So I didn't want to do that. Unfortunately, they were able to back up before I hit shots enough, and they were able to use their splatling kill time to beat me there. And that's a weapon you don't outrange. You know, that's not something where you can do the same thing you can to a splatter shot. So they know that I'm down here now, and they're going to be pre-firing around the corner, but if we do this... Okay. We'll paint up over there, and then... Oh, someone was over here. Fine. I didn't want to use the reef slider for that, but I realized, like, I was running out of time. Probably should have just, like, dodge rolled or something. I also didn't aim it very well. If I aimed that better, they'd probably go down. Okay, that's 3 down, so we can go for the pop here. I'm just going to go for that because it's in my way of moving forward, but ideally I want to just be holding forward as fast as I possibly can at that point. I didn't mean to fall off. That's a mistake. Oh my goodness, and I fell off again. Well, at least I'm getting the return. What? I was supposed to go straight to the right into the wall. Man.
Dually life on mine.
I thought I had one more roll. I miscounted. We're still alive. Okay, no, we're not still alive anymore. Oh my god. My main weapon aim has been fine. I'm just missing my, like, auto bombs and reef sliders and stuff. Okay, there we go. We're moving sideways so that it's throwing their aim off as much as possible. And this is fine if we get them. Okay, cool. We wiped them.
Sweet.
Pay attention to me! Oh. A little bit awkward there. As soon as I'm landing, I'm dodge rolling like crazy. So I think we've got control of the pop. Yes, we do. Actually, probably should have just sharked there. I see this player coming around, so I'm going to stop them. Ah, I didn't guess right about where they were going to dodge away because I couldn't see them in the ink.
Like, do you feel like that was, like, just dancing around with it, like that was correct? Like, just kind of keeping them busy?
So the mini, I probably should have been able to splat there.
Okay, yeah.
There. Like, I'm going to go in when I feel like I have the threat to splat them. Like, there needs to at least be a threat to. I don't want to feed just for the sake of feeding. I want to feed because they need to look at me or else they die.
Yeah.
So like here, I'm going to play defensively because we're down a couple of players and there's not a great opportunity. But as soon as I get some information, or if I get engaged on by the Brella... What? Okay. That hit me when I was already past them.
I wish Brellas were good. I'd be a Brella main if they could.
But notice how I'm like always taking an angle that is not the main angle they're looking at. Like I'm seeing what the main fight is, and I'm using that analysis to figure out where can I go that they won't see me coming.
Okay.
Yeah, so like that's another like utility of knowing what the one fight is, like the one fight at a time kind of idea. Because if I know what that fight is, then I know where they're going to be looking.
Yeah.
If I don't know what that fight is, then I'm just kind of like playing
Observing.
defensively and trying to observe and waiting until I know where that fight is and I can get a good angle on it. All right. So what did I say wrong, X-Ray? Reef Slider 0 out of 10 special. It's not adorable enough.
Oh yeah, the little shark totally could be cuter.
We'll do one more here. Some general strategies or counters against dualies. Learning a lot from your YouTube vids. Thanks. Yeah, thank you. And GG's to all the people who apparently were watching the stream and also playing. Live streaming teacher, yes. Blow high, reef slider when. Exactly. Okay, so, there was a question that I forget. Oh, strategies or counters against dualies. Brellas actually were a really significant counter to dualies in the Splatoon 2 meta for a while. When dualies were meta, people would run Brellas to specifically counter them. Because it's really, like, you're going to run out of your rolls before they run out of their shield. And you can't just throw bombs at the shield when you're in dodge roll form. So they just kind of put the shield up and you're like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? But in the general case, if they're like an ambush dualies that are going to try and get on top of you really quickly, you want to know where they're going to be coming from. Otherwise, you kind of just play against them similar to like short-range shooters. It's a raid from off the dial. Welcome, everybody. Another tournament raid. Alright. So I pushed in and I got one there, but I also kept the Brella back far enough that my team was able to take mid during that time. If I don't engage that heavily, the Brella is pushed further forward, and so we don't actually get full control of mid, we don't get popped that way. So that's how you're getting value. You're getting value from displacing the enemy team just by being such an immediate threat. They have to stop everything and drop everything to go after you. And if they're dropping everything, well, that means they're dropping aggro from your teammates. They're like not paying attention to what else is going on the map. And so your teammates can follow up on that. It's a very short time window, and it's not the easiest thing to do technically, especially for the team that has to follow up on it, but there was a Brella up in front of me, and so I knew that I wasn't going to be able to shoot through it, so I tried to go for the reef slider, because at that point, well, if it gets off, then it will be able to do damage to the Brella user. And if it doesn't, well, I'm dead anyway. That stops the Rainmaker, that slows things down by a lot for the enemy team. So it's like these trades, because I am putting all of this pressure on, despite the fact that I'm going down immediately, we still have map position on them.
Okay.
At least up until the point where they ignore me and are able to address the rest of my team. And that's one risk of the playstyle. You don't want to be something that they can ignore. You've got to be getting in a location where you are actually a threat.
And would you...
I don't know why I threw the bomb there. That was kind of pointless. You had a question?
Oh, yeah. Are you running all QR?
A lot of quick QR, yes.
Okay.
Oh, I thought I had that one. That was well played. Okay, the teammate probably should have been able to get that. I had hit them like 3 times. But I mean, I was going in expecting that I was just going to win the fight straight up, so it was good on them. Oh boy. Oh boy, I am so dead. Even then, it kind of paid off, because, like, there were 2 people that were protecting the Rainmaker. I engaged on both of them. My whole team had the Rainmaker to themselves. And the reason that you can't make these kinds of plays with other weapons is that other weapons don't have the mobility to move through enemy ink, nor the fighting capability to win as often as they do, even in disadvantageous positions.
Right.
Like, you try to do this with a splatter shot, you're just going to get zoned out too much, you're going to get outranged too much, you're not going to be able to push fast enough through enemy ink to get anything done. I was lucky. Yeah. The teammate back there probably should have helped. Oh, I almost had him. I was worried about rolling, because then I was going to fall and, like, land on top of the Rainmaker shield and damage myself, and also be below them. Did they see me? Probably saw me there. No, they didn't see me. Nice. It's just the undercover. I'm just looking for where they are. They're coming out from the right. There's one. Oh, there they are. A trick that I learned, especially with the splat dualies, for if you don't want to use your dodge roll right away, but you want a little bit of extra confusion before you go, is to jump or squid roll. Squid rolling is probably better when you can pull it off, but there are, you know, some movement scenarios where that's difficult to do. Now they have to pick Rainmaker up. Oh, that is not where I thought I was going. Do I need to come up here? If I do that, am I going to be seen? Where's the Rainmaker? Holy crap. Okay, dodge rolls got me out of that. If the Rainmaker had fired that shot at me, they would have got me, but fortunately there was a teammate behind them.
Thank you. This has been really helpful. I think next lesson is... yeah, really helpful.
I think your commentary was great. I'll pay attention more, though. Got caught up in chat things. All right, sounds good. Thank you, X-Ray. Do you avoid sipping the tactical or juice because it gives away your position as an ambush weapon? Sometimes. If I'm playing Tetras, I'm not expecting to be especially stealthy. I'm just expecting to get on top of them before they can do anything about it. So there, I'm just not even going to run Ninja Squid. You can see I've got the double quick respawn here. But with some weapons where it's more important for me to be using stealth, where I don't have the range, where I don't have the mobility to be able to close on things even across gaps like that, then it might be important not to go for it. Tacticooler is a let's rush forward special. It's not a let's shark forward and hope for a decent fight that our teammates set up for us special. Okay, so hopefully we should have Devi and Fia ready to go now. And they are in here and muted.
Wah! Right, Fia?
Wow.
There we go.
Thank you so much, Chokomoko. And
Yeah,
I hope you have a nice day.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you too. Bye.
All right. So Devi, if you would like to stream your view, I will send it over to you. And what I'm going to do, folks, is I am going to stream the Discord call. And hopefully...
Okay, so you're gonna stream the...
I'm gonna pop out the
Webcam
Discord
view.
call,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and
You're gonna
then
you cast the webcam view, but then you're gonna put the sound on the second stream I put up. Because that'll have the sound.
okay.
Basically
I
what we
might-
did last time.
Let's see how I can make that work.
Exactly what we did last time. You remember what we did last time? So
Did you put it up
right,
there?
There we
Okay.
go. This is what you should see. And now I'm gonna put up a second one that will give you audio. Because there's callouts for this. And now I could just do it one way, but I'm like, okay, let's still have the whole corner camera thing, so hey, we'll still see virtual me just because I don't have my green screen set up at the moment.
Okay, so there's that.
Also, quality is pixelated, so that is normal thing.
Yeah, that's not just coming through on Discord like that's on my screen as well.
Yeah, no, it is pixelated, so and that's the best I can get it, and that it's showing. It's on max quality too.
Okay. So say words and things.
I am saying words and things.
Okay. And then play the video.
The video's a little quiet on
Okay.
max volume.
I'm not hearing audio on
Not
my
hearing
end, so
Do you have the stream one, the actual like stream screen volume turned up?
I don't know how I can watch two of those at the same time.
No, you don't need to watch two of them at the same time. It should just pick up on desktop audio.
Like
you
I
have
mean,
it
I'm
turned
hearing you, and that's like through desktop audio. That's where that's coming through.
That's weird because this should.
But I'm not hearing anything
this
through like
thing.
your mic or anything. That is game audio. I don't think it's the end of the world. Like game audio is the last thing that I'm worried about. But if we can figure out a way to get it, should it be coming through like your mic in the Discord call?
No, it comes through. You see how I have my webcam turned on and then another view right now?
I don't see that because here.
Debbie has a stream and she
I
has
have a stream
Wait.
and a webcam view.
Start watching multiple streams. Okay.
Yes. So if you hit the multiple and have the volume up on the second one, you'll hear it.
So
I'll just keep it playing.
You guys get to watch my great warm-ups.
say something. Okay.
Saying words.
So that I grabbed the wrong one there. So I need to go to this one and turn the audio up on this one. I'm still not hearing anything.
It is really quiet.
I also don't hear anything on either of them.
You can't hear anything on either of them? That's weird.
No.
Oh, here, let me try this. Let
Turns
me
the
try
volume
this.
down just in case it's up too loud now.
This. This should do it.
Yes, now we are hearing game audio.
Okay, there we go. I had it on the wrong application. Oopsies. That one's on me.
Okay, so now what I'm hoping is, okay, we see the correct thing up there, and I shouldn't have to actually be watching multiple streams right now.
Well, if you close the one, then the audio won't probably go. Well, just see if you can still hear the audio.
I'll be able to hear
One of
you
them
through
has
Discord.
Audio. The other one has Debbie's like character on it, right?
Yeah. And then you should still get the same thing. If it doesn't work,
okay.
it doesn't work. But we did it last
Gotcha.
time and it worked just fine. So
Yeah, I actually do need that for... Okay.
yeah.
So
I need my pen. I forgot to pull up my pen.
I have this
Pen
pulled
is the
up
most
here,
important
but play the video again.
part. Blink.
Okay, there we go.
Tech is running on Ninja
Yeah.
Okay, I've got it figured out, so let me just get the screen... Oh, you know what's happening? You are on screen, and I'm just blocking you. So I'm going to move myself and Prochera out of the way, and then we should be good to go. All right. The stage is all yours, Debbie.
Hey! Hi, Squid School chat. Who's ready for your favorite substitute teacher for backlining 101? Huh?
I
Yeah, Fia!
am.
Actually, I have a better idea. I'm just gonna turn off the webcam. And now I can still keep sitting where I was. But
So,
I will
yeah.
be getting up and walking around a little bit, so if you need anything, I might be a minute to get back on. I'll try and be on for most of the stream, though.
We should be good because the way I have it is that I can switch my screens to whatever I need it to be, so you shouldn't have to touch a thing from here on out. Oh! As you can see, that's how quickly I can change screens, huh? my quick glimpse of my screensaver of Hydra crimes. Anywho, okay, I can still see YouTube chats. I'm just making sure I can keep the chats up too at the same time. But yeah, we should be good. Okay, so hi guys. It is now time to take over and discuss a couple backline things. And now for you, the last couple times I've been on here, it's been all Splatling talk because we all know, of course, I main Splatlings, in particular the Hydra. I have been working a lot with the Heavy lately, so I'm not just a one trick anymore, and I am slowly working on my Knot and Mini as well. Ballpoint's kind of last on my list, just because its kits kind of ruin it right now for me, and it's the more complicated one to get used to. But we're looking at chargers today. Fia is a charger main. I don't know if you play other backline weapons in particular,
I
Fia,
play
but I know you
Chargers
are.
and I have knowledge of Explasher.
And Explo too. Okay, yeah, that's always good to have kind of a second. But yeah, we're taking a look at chargers today. So we've got Fia doing a scrim here. I cannot remember what the team's name is. What's the team name, Fia?
Our team name is the Tetra Rulers.
Actor
And
Rulers. I love it. And then the other team I know is Transients. Because I have been recently acquainted with Toma. And Toma's great. But yeah, we are going into here, and you said that this team that you are subbing for right now is Div 8, right?
yes.
And is Transients also the same div, or are they above?
I
I can't remember.
thought that they were the same, but I also don't
I
remember.
meant to look, and then I got distracted with the chats, and that just kind of happened. But anywho, we're there. It is low level scrim that we are taking a look. And for context, I do apologize for the quality. Fia, I don't know what happened to the VOD, but it's just very pixelated on max quality. So it's okay. We can still see the general things. And also another thing to note when we're hearing the audio, it's going to sound very psychic or pre-predicted, because whenever you hear the callouts of something happening, it always happens a second before it happens on the video. So the callouts are actually ahead of the game, and Fia's blaming OBS on this one, and I would also do the same thing. But so in case anyone thinks it's like, holy smokes, did they ever predict or just have that much confidence that they're gonna hit that shot? It's not that. The audio is just desynced. Because I played it back like 5 times going, what? Like, your first 2 shots, Fia, when this happens, I believed you just knew you were gonna get the shot. And I believed it, but then your teammates were calling out something too. And it seemed a little off because it wasn't as accurate, and I'm like, okay, the audio's actually desynced. So
Only I'm allowed to have confidence.
Okay, so first things first, a big thing to note that we're gonna, even before we even start the game, the VOD is actually starting in the pre-planning phase before we go into the game. Now, in the last lesson, Jem talked about how important it is to always like kind of pre-plan with your team before tournaments and stuff like that. And you could even see before, like, he was doing map planning on Sendu.inc with the weapons and kind of how to go in for that. teams should always like have some set time or like some time in a month to go over these and like go over their map strats with their team. Just have a night where they sit down and just talk plans, how they want to move in on a certain map in given scenarios, like on the offense, on the neutral, on the defense, what their weapon lineup is going to be, so that when they go into this map, nothing's a surprise. This is how a lot of teams have their counter picks set up, because we know that there are counter pick systems in some tournaments. This is how you get your solid counter picks, and you can also narrow down what map modes you need to work on more as a team and which ones are your strong ones, so then you can use them as your counter picks as well. But going into this VOD, we're going to start off at the just kind of this point in time. I'm going to play through what you're going to hear them say in this pre-planning phase, in this 40 seconds here. And then we'll discuss it afterwards. So for chat who are muted, I apologize because it's going to be a more audio section. So we'll let this play out. Listen to what they're talking about, and then I'll elaborate more on it on how we can adjust this to get ready into the game, because it's going to come into impact in literally the first 15 to 20 seconds as soon as we start the game. So we'll go into there. So I'm going to let this play out, and then we'll talk about it right afterwards.
Actually, I think they had crab on.
They've had crabs.
I feel like they want crab here.
Had crab on like 3 of the
Oh shit.
2 games.
Yes, there are a couple swears. I
think they
apologize,
might
chat.
run
I
crab
can't
because
prevent
of
that.
his blood. What
If
do
they
you?
do run crab, I got
prevent
crab.
it.
All right.
And he is like really
It's
good.
minor though.
So I
Fun.
can do that.
Oh, should I go leader or V-charger here?
I think V charger because
V-charger.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Hang on. The stream did freeze.
Oh.
I see that. Well then, that's weird. I wonder if I can just exit my camera view. Like, Fia, on your screen, what you can see, what does the top timer say? What second are you at?
I'm at second 3, I believe.
3, okay, and stream is not at 3.
Oh.
They cannot see because they only have one readied up, and there's a lot. Oh, this is an F. Oh, great! We're having a great start where the stream freezes, and it ain't on my end.
It might be on Jem's end.
Jerry. Okay. Could you guys hear the audio though, or was the whole thing just frozen?
It just
the audio. What's going on?
The stream is stuck. Like, my view was stuck for a second. I don't know what you did, but it seems to come back now.
Yeah, I see your head moving around and stuff.
You see it moving around, but
oh,
stream
you know
didn't.
what? It's probably, I think move your head around a bit, and let's see if this changes it. Okay, I know what's happening. That is happening because I am minimizing it and having another window open. And then when I don't do that, it should be fine. So let me get the window that I was working with over onto my other monitor, and then it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
Oh my god, where is my mouse? Okay, I couldn't see it for a second. That was very confusing. Okay. I'm moving. Okay, cool. It's working.
You should be able to see the eyes blink too. I blink relatively frequently.
Yeah, the eye blinks were actually really helpful there. So, blink twice if you need help. Blinks twice immediately on stream.
You're welcome.
All right.
You held me captive for this gig, guys. I'm kidding. I wanted to do this. Okay. Are we good?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so was any of the audio able to be heard from chat for those literal 40
They're
seconds?
saying audio yes, just that the
Okay.
YouTuber is frozen.
Okay, that's fine. If you heard the audio, then we're good. Okay, so big thing with this preparation. We had the 40 seconds here, right? It took the last 7 seconds, one, before you confirmed your weapon. But also, the biggest thing that was discussed here is if they still had crabs. And I think that's the one thing you were planning on here, but the one thing we didn't talk about was how you were going to open on this map and something to keep note of. Like, so you know that they have a crab. You're building the comp to counter it, but what's the actual play to counter it here? Like, what side do we want to control? What side do we want to start on? Do we want to just take mid first? Like, what side do we want more people on? The most effective ways is before you start a game, whether it's in like the last 15 seconds. Sometimes I speed run this with my own team whenever we get off track. And I'll be like, okay, but serious business here. We need to take control of right, then mid, push up so and so. For this map, it would be like either push left first, take away path, just keep pushing left, and we should have the burst start nailed. That's one way. Another alternate way, like the plan B, is when you know the comp. So if you know they're gonna like say get crabs first or anything, it'll be like, okay, hold right, contest that fight. Make sure we're all around kind of that area, 2 mid, 2 right, or 1 mid, 1 surveying, which would be your back line or your mid line, 2 right to pinch. Nobody should be on left. Just discuss where you want everybody to be so you can succeed the very first fight and win neutral game, and that way you can just go. What is the map mode? The map mode here is TC Ink Blot. For what we're about to go into. So you want to make sure you know how you want to push. If you know you had trouble with defense prior, I don't know what the game was before this or what the thing was. You guys just discussed that there were crabs, which are generally in most games in competitive right now. It's either 1 or 2, sometimes even 3 if a team is mad.
Her plan for taking out crabs was generally just relying on our tripling strikes or just trusting me to hit my shots.
So you're relying on the ink strikes to just shred the crabs, really. But there should be a follow-up method to that, because sometimes the tri-strikes aren't going to get these crabs. They'll hit the tail end and they'll just roll out of them. But tri-strike has been buffed, so it is easier to get down if you can trap the crab in between 2 of them. But there's still a chance the tri-strike may miss, or the crab will read it quick enough before it actually explodes, because there still is that time duration between when it actually launches its full strike to when you see it. It's like a missile indicator, right? You see where it's going to land, but you still have that time frame to dodge it before it just moves on. So in this case, we want to deal the crabs. You have this so-called plan with the tri-strike, but we need to make sure we have something else following up with the tri-strike, or once someone tri-strikes, if they can go in and follow up, give that extra damage to guarantee that pick. Great, but I think the biggest thing here is making sure we have this early game plan, because with what's about to happen, you can tell that this plan is not set up as well as you'd like it to, compared to how you play and the rest of the team plays. So we'll get to that right away here. And then we're going to see this initial play, talk about it, and then I'm going to go back and discuss abilities. I'm doing things kind of backwards here. So we'll get into the game and get this first play. So I'm going to just skip forward a little bit.
So we're doing good.
Yeah.
Alright, do it.
So comps are relatively close. Both have a leader, both have a T-Tech. They just have a different painter, really. Okay.
One person far right.
So it's this first play right here that wasn't discussed. I think, Fia, one, if you had the plan to take this right-hand side, usually it's a good idea for the whole team to know where you want to set up first. That way you can set up a teammate around you. Yeah. So that's where this pre-planning time that you have is great to discuss. So that way a teammate can work off of you or bait somebody into you. Either way, you should be able to form a 2v1 somewhere around here, because we do know that this right stack on Inkblat is usually where the first fight happens
Yeah.
almost 95% of the time, there's always a fight that happens on the right side. And I'm pretty sure most other people can confirm this, whether you're in solo queue, open, in a tournament, 95% of the time, there's going to be a fight on this right side. When you get up to the higher divs, it's a less of a percentage, I find. Well, actually, it's a 50-50. In the lower levels, it's not as often. It's actually less of a percent, but in the, I want to say in the mid divs, that percentage increases, and then in the high divs, it is a very high percent because they just want to, push the tower path. That's why a lot of people are always on the right first, because they want to immediately take away that tower path from you so you can't defend it, and it can just push easy with no problem. Because the more map you can take first, the easier it is to get a start push, and that is how you succeed a burst start, which is what a lot of teams try to look for in S3 for how much faster pace it is compared to 2, and a lot of teams are still realizing that it's really, I call it the snap of the finger reflex. You really got to know. It's just the snap of your finger. You got to know it's here. You got to know it's there, and just bam. But you'll find most people here at right, and if you want to try to set up a play here at right, which you are trying to do, you're trying to take initial advantage of that right stack so you can have advantage, and to also threaten them early on so they can't push. So I get that you're contesting their want to take away the tower path from you. To push, so you want to be in the way. So this is a nice way to go here, but we just don't have the communication with your teammates, because I don't know if you knew right off the bat, but where's my pen? Your 2 teammates are back up here on your wall on your plat. I don't know if you knew that until they went down. And they haven't gone down yet, so let's just take a peek here and go a little bit more forward.
Right. Splash.
What? They got 2 with a bomb. Be careful.
Right there. So yeah, this is how we found out that your teammates were behind you, and then the last teammate is way over here. Yes, I know it's a little blurry, so I'll highlight it for you with my handy dandy pencil. Uh-oh, is Gem a she again? I mean, it's not even Gem. But yeah, so your 2 teammates go down up here, and this is kind of the hesitation you have without the pre-planning, because it seems like your teammates weren't too sure where to go, because your other team also has a leader. And the leader